Hello everybody, it's Fiona Hooper here again with another edition of the Poetry of Painting. Well, this week it's a little bit different. I really wanted to have Skylar J Wynter, who's a fantastic poet, lovely person, come back on my show, but unfortunately she's based in Australia. And with the time difference and some different personal commitments that she now has, it means this is about 2 or 3 in the morning for her. So it's a little inconvenient, shall we say. So it's going to be a little bit different this week, but welcome everybody. I hope you all enjoy it, and thanks very much for watching, whether you're watching live or on replay. That's absolutely lovely. And don't forget, if you want to make comments and ask questions, I won't be able to answer them verbally while we're watching Skylar, but I can answer them in the comments for you, or we can get back to you after the show if it's a comment or a question for Skylar. And I'll be putting a link for Skylar's connections in the comments afterwards. So what I'm going to do, each wrote a poem about my painting called Snow-Capped, which is this one here behind me. And as usual, Skylar's poetry is just amazing. So I'm going to put that on the screen and play you a recording that we did at a weekend when it wasn't, we could make it a much easier time for Skylar to be up and awake. So I hope you enjoy this. I shall take myself off the screen and put Skylar and myself on for our chat about the poetry of painting. So just bear with me one moment. Hi, Skylar, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. It's fantastic to have you back on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And I know it's not possible to do it, in the week for you anymore. So I really appreciate you, giving up some time at your weekend to do this for me.
Thank
Brilliant.
you. I've been looking forward to this for ages. When we did the last show, it was you sort of said, would you come back and do another one? I was like, yes. And then when I started working full time and everything, I thought, oh no, I'm not going to be able to. So I really appreciate that you can pre-record and we can still get together and have a chat. So
especially, and also because I changed the time of the show as well. It was even earlier even later early morning for you, as it were, 2 o'clock or something in the morning. Horrendous. So really appreciate it. Thank you. And so for this show, we've both written poems about my painting called Snow-Capped, which is here on the wall behind me. I'll just share it on the screen briefly so that you can get a bit of a close-up if you're watching. So it's in oils. It's only about a foot square, 30 by 30 centimeters, and it was painted with a knife. So I'm going to take that off the screen now so that you can actually see us again, especially Skylar, as she's hopefully going to read her amazing poem for us first, if that's okay.
That's totally fine. I really enjoyed this one. I absolutely adore the picture, and straight away, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's the one I want to write about. So here it is. It's called Snow-Capped.
Brilliant.
Feelings, snow-capped, kept under wraps of thin ice with a boundary fence of warning signs, keep you at my edges, never knowing the slightest pressure would crack me open. Never knowing I keep my dark side away from your light to keep glacial flow watertight, preventing a torrent with too much momentum to be dammed, leaving me damned when it destroyed you. I stay muted. Winter landscape against winter sky, impervious to your efforts to traverse the climb. But if you could wait for me long enough for winter to pass into spring, await my blue skies and a natural thawing, await as I awaken from this winter hibernation, this locking down of senses, keeping me senseless, keeping what life is left in my soul out of the cold protected, until hope warms my frozen slopes, germinating new growth, a burst of colour, covering me in layers more welcoming. On that day, you can make the climb, and the view of our shared horizon will be worth gazing upon. The snow caps will retract, and we will dance in sunshine. The balancing of nature we can neither preempt nor simulate, but the change of seasons is worth the wait.
Wow, that's brilliant. I love it. I love
Thank you.
the boundaries and the ice caps and the release of it coming back, and coming back to life again, and joining in joyous enjoyment.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
That's okay.
Brilliant. So yeah, that's sorry, just made me sort of go like tingly when I was listening to it, which is lovely.
Oh, good. I'm glad, because I mean, I'm not sure what all your poets do. I don't get to watch all your shows, but I do tend to make, obviously, I'm sure that there'd be some poets that would look at that and write about nature, and I tend to write about emotion and feelings and the personal experience, and so everything kind of reflects back to that. So yeah, that's what's important, is to make the reader or the listener feel. So I'm glad it's done that.
Certainly did. Yeah, there's one of Rose's ones that she did warn me I might need tissues, and it was at the end, it was such a tearjerker, and yeah, I had to quite fight on that one to keep it together for the show.
Yeah. I don't know. I think a letting out of tears is always a good thing.
Okay. Okay. Well, mine's very different, as you'd expect. Different poets, different different approaches. So here's my one, called Snow-Capped, obviously. So here we go. So, remote, bleak, and barren, exposed to the full force of the biting wind, these mountains wear their snowy mantles, blowing coldly in the winter light. A waterfall suspended as an icy flow, waiting for the months to pass, till its release from enforced inertia, reborn as a gushing spate of melted ice. Rich russets from autumn's faded leaves contrast sharply with the cold whiteness, a reminder of the colour that fills these valleys when the winter releases its bitter grip. The violet greyness of the leaden skies bears down with heavy burden of ice and snow, curtailing further the short winter days, blocking the sun's meagre watery rays. Wildlife seeks the bare shelter of the valleys, or retreats to burrows and nests, avoiding the abrasive, ice-laden wind which scours and blasts this wild land. Life is tough in this unforgiving world, with freeze and thaw breaking even the rocks, but in spite of that, I love this place in all its harsh and rugged beauty.
Oh,
that's
beautiful.
my one.
Thank you. That was gorgeous, and that's exactly what I love about what you're doing. Is you've painted a really visual picture with words of your painting, and I've painted, I guess, a picture of something more about the human experience. So I just love that.
And your inner reaction to it, which is amazing. It's, as an artist, you don't always get to hear what people think and feel when they look at your work. Yeah. So for me, this whole series of shows has been incredible, knowing an insight into just how some people feel when they look at one of my paintings. Yeah. So that's another one for in the book.
Yay!
Brilliant. Thank you. So what's been happening in your world of poetry just lately, Skylar?
So I've taken a big rest. So I've had about, I think, nearly 5 months off. Wow. Which I really needed. So that's been really good. I'm feeling a lot more, myself, and more able to cope, and and sort of take on some new projects and everything. So that's been really nice. So I made a comeback a couple of weeks ago at a British event, and I'm headlining at an event called Beehive on the 19th of November. So
excellent.
Yeah, we'll post up the links in the chat for that when this goes to air. Yeah, so and then my second book, all the artwork's been completed and all the poetry completed, so we're just compiling all that, and we're actually incorporating something really new and exciting. So I can't wait. I can't talk about it, but I'm very excited about what it's going to mean for the book.
Teasing us. You're teasing us.
I am. So yeah, so we're hoping that will be out for Christmas. That's going to be a coffee table book. So every poem, same thing, every poem has a beautiful artistic background and some little added bonuses added in. So you'll have to all wait for that.
And when it is released, do let me know. And well, hopefully you can do another recording with me for another show as well before, Christmas, and get the links on there. Very happy to, put some links on my Facebook page for you as well. So can't wait to see it. Brilliant.
Yeah, I can't wait to show it. I'm so excited, and I'm busting to show people. But yes, it's all under wraps for now. So I will let you know as soon as I know. I'll send you some things so that
excellent. Yeah. And I should be picking your brains for the best way to publish the book that I've of not just my artwork, but poetry from myself and my guest poets, which would be fantastic. So can't wait to do that. But it's just knowing what's going to be the best way to do it, self-published, print on demand, whatever, and also what I'd like to do is to try to do it as sustainably as possible, using recycled materials wherever I can. It's got to be nice quality, because otherwise people want to have something of quality. But I would much prefer it if I can use some sort of recycled materials for it. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's very important to me to try and do what I can to help preserve the planet as well, because it's
absolutely and I think what you'll find is if you go with a smaller publisher or self-publisher, you've got control over those things. Not so much with the bigger publishing houses. Basically, once you hand over the manuscript to one of the bigger houses, then they then have control over everything, the type of paper, the font, everything. So and that's what's been an interesting process doing this second book with all the art already done. It does limit probably the publishers you can approach, because a lot of them are like, well, we don't want your artwork, we just want your manuscript. So so that's an interesting process. But certainly love to have a chat about it.
Yeah, and it sounds like in your new book, the artwork it's an integral part of the book.
Absolutely, yeah, so, absolutely.
You can't just brush it aside, and obviously with my project, with the paintings, that they're a critical part of the book really as well. Exactly. Otherwise, there's nothing to explain how those poems came into being in the first place. So
exactly.
So that's great. So any other plans for, any other headlines? I know it's more difficult sort of worldwide, or certainly Europe sort of for you at the moment with the time difference and your other commitments, which, just make things difficult. But because you did a collaboration with an American poet as well, which I came on to that show as well, which was amazing.
Yeah, that was in April, so that feels like a long time ago. So we're actually in the process of getting that organised so that it will be online and people can pay to watch. So we're just finalising that. So that's happening. I've won. So obviously Western Australia is fairly open, so there's been some like live poetry events. So I've done a couple of slam events, and I've had a couple of wins, which is always really nice. It's kind of like, I kind of like don't like to really say it too much, because poetry is so, you can present the same poem at 3 different events and win one and get a place in one and then not even score very well in another one, because it's always judged by the public. So it is, it's just personal preference and whoever turns up on the day. So, but it is nice to have a win now and then, keeps you going. And Australia, I think overseas there's different countries now that that are opening borders and you can fly in and out of. So I've sort of started writing. I don't know if it's going to be a one-woman show or I'm going to get together several women, but I'd really love to if we can. There's an American poet and a couple of British poets, women, and it's very much a women's topic that I'm writing on, and I'd just love to turn it into a stage show and take it on tour if we could. So if the borders all start opening up and we can all start traveling, that's kind of the big long-term goal.
That sounds really exciting. Yeah. World tour. Yeah, we were there's a group that I belong to, the Blooms Art Collective, and we've had some online shows which have been shows with a difference because we each have our own room and people can come in and visit us in our rooms. It's been great fun, and I suggested a tour with the Blooms. So we do, because we've got a member in Australia, Italy, we've had people in Canada, Scotland, England. And we decided, I suggested that we go to each of these countries, all meet up and each go round, all go round together. And why not have it filmed for TV? How great would that be? We have chefs going around the world. We have, all these other things and people doing travels. Why not follow this group of artists going around the world painting and meeting up and, having exhibitions, I thought it was a good idea, but I'm not sure.
I think it's a great idea. And the thing is that now we have the technology. I mean, iPhones themselves are just so incredible with their cameras and everything they can do now. And with YouTube and everything, I mean, you're just seeing that all the time. People just traveling and recording it via video, and if it gets lots of views or whatever, then someone invariably will approach you and want to offer you money for it or make it, put it onto TV or whatever. So I think we sort of entered this era, and I think COVID's really helped it. And we've all realized that actually we don't have to wait for a break or someone to notice us or whatever. We can just get on and do whatever we want.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, go for it.
They're such a fun group. They're lovely ladies. So it would be it'd be just an amazing adventure to do it. If we can all just get the time together and do it together, it would be just fantastic. But it just feels such a long time since we've been able to travel anywhere and do things like that. So
absolutely. And I love travel, but I wouldn't say because just because of the situation and the cost of travel or anything, I'm not necessarily someone who went on massive holidays every year or anything like that. But now that option has been taken off the table, it's like I'm kind of 2 years in now and going, I really, really want to travel. And if our future is a future phase with me not being able to come to the UK or go to the US and meet up with the people that I've met during this time period, that would be very sad for me. I feel quite awful about that. Yeah.
And because we have met so many more people online, we've met, if you were just doing events in your own country live, you would meet people just from your area. But because of COVID, we've met people from around the world so much more. So, it would be lovely to be able to get together and, have not a reunion because we haven't actually physically all met yet, but just to meet up and I don't think there'd be a quiet moment even if we were together for a week. It would just be chat all the way.
Exactly.
It'd be fantastic. Yeah.
Certainly something to look forward to. So and plan for. So
and it is. I just think I really would love to travel, but again, then you've got your carbon footprint to think of. So it is an issue with that as well. But I think if we can all do lots of little things to help, then that will also help to offset, maybe one time, one overseas holiday each year or something, maybe it'll help to offset it. not sure how much we would need to offset it, but
yeah. Well, I think, there's always the thing now. I think there's a lot of options now that, if you fly, you can pay extra money to kind of offset the carbon footprint. And
yeah.
Also, I guess for me, if I ever got to the point where I was earning really good money out of the performing and out of the writing and everything else, well, the things that are really important to me is where I'd be funneling money into, so, whether it's offsetting carbon emissions or other things that are really close to my heart, like homeless and poverty and all those sorts of things. I think there's many problems in this world that need fixing. And like you say, we can't all fix everything all at once because we're just individuals. But I think that's right. If each of us just chooses a few things that we can commit to doing the right thing by, and we're all doing our own little bit, well, collectively that becomes a lot. So
yes, yeah. And even things like I try at home to minimize plastic and packaging and stuff. If I'm buying fruit and vegetables, I don't bother putting it in a plastic bag. I just put it into my shopping bag, just loose. It's fine. It doesn't suffer. I buy solid shampoo and soap. Now they come in cardboard boxes instead of plastic bottles. And the solid shampoo that I'm using is brilliant. It just really works well. I've converted my other half to using it as well. He loves it. Things like washing powder, laundry powder, I buy it in a box instead of buying the liquid in a plastic bottle. And I just think, well, if everybody could make these little changes, they'll all add up to something quite big.
Absolutely.
I'm getting on my soapbox there.
No, and I think that's why we're here, isn't it? That's why we have conversation, and we as artists, we paint and we write, and it gives us a forum to write or paint or whatever to the things that mean a lot to us. So I think conversation's always important. It's always important.
And with my art, I hope that portraying some of these beautiful places raises people's awareness of natural beauty and how fragile it is, and the fact that we really should be protecting it, otherwise it's going to be gone for future generations. These wonderful places won't exist. Or there's a particular beach on the Pacific coast in America that I love. It's about 7 miles of sandy beach. It's just amazing. And the idea of that being covered in plastic and junk and poor sea creatures that have been strangled and choked with plastic is just horrendous. And
what I'm loving is so our generation weren't really aware of that until now, but I'm loving watching the younger generation. They're actually making those choices. Not even like, I think for me, I have to consciously remind myself, when I'm shopping or whatever, what's the better choice, whereas I notice the younger generation, they're making those better choices without even, it's becoming quite subconscious for them to just, they're just automatically going for the metal straws and things like that. So I think,
absolutely.
It doesn't actually take a lot to turn things around. It is literally just every person just doing something every day towards something that makes the world a better place. So
just building new habits, getting into different routines, and using less water, and just all the things that we've been so used to doing things a certain way that you do have to concentrate to start with to adopt new habits. But it gets easier once you keep doing it. It's good. And I think the more we can encourage people to do that, I say, I don't want to be preaching at people, because people have to want to do it. They've got to do it willingly, otherwise it's not going to work.
And that's what I love about your art, is that exactly that. Whenever I look at your pieces, you are transported to these beautiful environments And I mean, I'm a very visual feeling person anyway, so maybe I have an overreaction to your art and other people who do landscapes and stuff. But, you know, I think it's the perfect way to reach people without the preaching or anything else, because how can you not be moved by looking at a beautiful painting like that and seeing a landscape? Because you know that if we continue the way we've been going, those landscapes are going to be lost. So
Yeah.
I think you're doing fabulous.
Thank you. And what I don't want is that my paintings, or, you know, other artists' paintings, photographs, whatever, will be the only way to see those places. Yeah. I just don't want that to happen, you know, and I find that very scary.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of land, I don't know about in Australia, but over here there's more and more land being taken up for housing. You think, yeah, you know, we're losing, you know, and the land, even if it's just grassland, pasture, whatever, it's still important for the environment and climate. And you think, you know, a lot of people don't have, you know, planted gardens anymore. They, you know, they pave it over for putting their cars on it, and that's again more plants lost. Contributes to flash flooding because the water doesn't sink in, it just runs off. You know, so there's so many things to, you know, to worry us at the moment. But
yeah, and it is about finding that balance, because, you know, then you've got the people with, you know, beautiful big gardens, and I mean, I'm not sure, I'd say, I mean, England's obviously a lot wetter, a wetter climate than we've got here in Australia, but, you know, having everything water wise and having less lawn and all that kind of thing is really important. So, but at the same time, having lawn and trees and plants, you know, helps heal other issues. So it is really important that the education's there, I think, so that we find a nice balance between, you know, all the things, you know, I mean, nature itself is a perfect ecosystem. It needs what it needs. It knows what it needs to balance itself out. So
yeah,
I think, we kind of need to tune into that a bit better.
Yeah, and I'm heavily into the recycling thing. Even with my art, when I'm painting with knives, like with these ones, I tend to use quite a lot of paper towel to keep cleaning the knife. Otherwise, you know, you mix the colors where you don't want them mixed and you can end up with mud. But I found that if I just leave them for a week or two, the paint dries out on them and I can use them again. You know, I don't just use them and then throw them away. They have a second, sometimes third life as well, you know, and I just reuse them as much as I possibly can. Things like a broken palette knife, I don't throw it away because it can be really useful just for making little short marks, or actually when the canvases, when you buy them, they're covered in like a film, and so it's a really useful little tool for on the back, just slitting the plastic film to take that off. Hopefully the canvas manufacturers will start to make the film recyclable as well, which would be helpful. But so I just try to repurpose everything that I possibly can, and it shows, you know, I try not to buy new stuff if I don't have to. But got these broken bits and pieces, but they're all useful.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And it's not meanness, it's just trying not to create more waste for the planet, you know, and use things.
And not creating waste for the sake of waste kind of thing, you know. Most things can be repurposed and reused, and I think we definitely have very much become a throwaway society. And you know, that's kind of come about because, you know, if everything's throwaway, then big companies can keep selling you something new. So
and I think it's, you know, it was forgivable, as it were, going back 20, 30 or 40 years, whatever, because people didn't understand the damage that was being caused by all of this. But now that we know what's happening to the planet and what damage man is causing, we should all be concentrating on that, on putting an end to as much damage as we can. But anyway, on that cheerful note,
we've had a lovely chat about so many things today.
As long as we all do our bit and enjoy what we've got, and enjoy art and poetry and the planet that we've got, and try and preserve it, can't ask for much more, can we really?
No,
So,
we certainly can't.
yeah.
Certainly can't.
Well, it's been absolutely fantastic having you back on the show, Skylar. I'm really pleased that we could do this to get you on again. And I hope that you will do this again so that we can bring you back on another show as well, because
Yeah,
I
I'd
love your work and love chatting with you as well. It's been brilliant. So
thank you. I love being here. It's just such a great environment. It's probably, yeah, I just don't feel at all stressed when you sort of contact me and say, oh, will you write for me again and come on the show? It's like, oh, absolutely. It's such a great environment, and I love what you're doing. I love your work. So I really appreciate you making me a part of it. Thank you.
thank you. Well, thank you. And in due course, if I will be permitted to put your poem on a post as well, as we did before, so that people can read it. You know, it's lovely hearing it, but sometimes, you know, I think it's really nice to be able to read it as well and be in the book as well when that happens. I'm nearly there with enough content, I think. So
it's sounding really good. So I'm really looking forward to seeing your finished product. I will send you a new copy of this poem because I've changed it a bit to when I sent it to you, because, you know, you can never stop editing.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely. Well, that'd be brilliant. Thanks so much, Skylar. Thank you very, very much indeed for your time and writing such a beautiful poem. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Take care then. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. I have a feeling that there might have been some audio issues going on there. So if so, I shall just have to post the video separately and apologize for that. But anyway, never mind. It was a fantastic interview with Skylar. She's absolutely gorgeous. So hopefully by the time you hear this, you will be able to hear the recording on replay. So thanks so much for watching, if you did. And join me again next Wednesday for another Poetry of Painting, which will be fully live next week. So you should be able to hear everything. So take care, everybody, and stay safe. Take care. Bye.